3.5 years ago, my very first Sunday morning visit to a congregation was to this congregation. And so it's fun to be on return visits now to many of the congregations across the country. In my role at Lutheran World Relief, I serve as our Director of Congregational Engagement, which means I lead a team of pastors and staff that go across the country and tell the stories and invite folks in congregations like yours to partner with us. And that also includes our quilt and kit ministry, all of our staff and team that make that possible. So are there any of our quilters here today? Okay, I'm going to show my favorite quilting video here at the end. So you heard me talk about some of the work that we're doing together in Ukraine during worship. This morning during this brief forum, I want to highlight 3 different ways that Lutheran World Relief works in the world. One is through our emergency response, humanitarian assistance projects. Another is through the long-standing development work that we do in many of the world's poorest countries. And then the third is a little highlight from our quilt and kit ministry and how those quilts make an incredible difference in the world beyond what you could even imagine. I believe it was in February of this year that Turkey was hit with a string of earthquakes, Turkey and Syria. We have been there. Our team was on the ground within, I think it was less than 2 weeks. We were there and putting your love to work. So I want you to take a look at what we're doing together in Turkey.
10 saniye sürdü deprem. Kıyamet, bağırtılar, çığlıklar, binalar yıkılmış, çocuklar kan revan içinde. Ne yapacağımızı şaşırdık.
Ya benim oğlum bana diyor ki anne son deprem diyor ki anne ben uyumak istiyorum ama uyanmak istemiyorum artık diyor.
O an yani bir anda böyle sallandığında yani ben o bina yıkılacak zannettim. Korkudan yani ben direkt anneme seslendim. O an yani benim için sanki hayat bitti gibi.
ماشي 4 ساعات هاي تقريبا 4 ساعات الحمد لله طلعناها تقريبا 3 بنات و3 اولاد جينا من سوريا مشان الامان مشان الاولاد يعني راحنا بنتين والمراه لم يعني راحت.
Hi, I'm Fred McCrae. I am the Senior Director for Humanitarian Operations with Lutheran World Relief. We're currently here in Hatay province, which is one of the hardest hit provinces in Turkey from the earthquake. The needs here are just staggering. I've been doing this for a long time. I've never seen so much destruction before. Just everything is gone. The people that were lucky enough to survive don't have anything.
يعني ما طلعنا خالص يعني ما في قاعدين برا يا اخي والله قاعدين برا والله برا قاعدين.
For Lutheran World Relief, we're working with our local partners. We are sending in material resources from our stock.
Hygiene kits and baby care kits are helping to get the supplies back to families who lost everything in the earthquake.
Biz yardımları almaya gelirken öncelikle çocuklarımızın ihtiyaçlarını karşılamak için geliyoruz buraya. Ve haksızlık olmadan yani diğer çocuklar.
وقت الأولاد بياكلوا كأنه أنا باكل أنا مش الأولاد أنا مثل بعض أنا.
Hani Allah razı olsun hepinizden, düşünen herkesten, devletimizden, hani dışarıdan bize yardım, destek amaçlayanlardan.
Thanks to your compassion and generosity, Lutheran World Relief didn't have to hesitate to respond to this disaster. It is because of you that we are here. Thank you.
He may have said this in the video too, has done this kind of work for 20 years, and this is the worst devastation that he's ever seen. But we're already making a difference. So if you look at the bottom here, these are container homes that have been built to house families for the next 3 to 5 years. So many people, if you could look closer and zoom in, those buildings are, even though they're still standing, they're not safe. And so many, or if their home is still standing, so many people have spent time living in tents in the streets because they're so afraid to be within the infrastructure. And so thanks to incredible Lutherans like you, these container homes, if you want to go to the next slide, are housing families like this that have been living in tents. They haven't had a private bathroom for months and months. For many women, it's unsafe because of the risks that are involved in communal living like that. And so these container homes were each $5,300, built with our partners, and they will house families for 3 to 5 years. So thank you for making all of this possible. We're going to jump, we're going to do some real quick jumps around the world here. So now we're going to jump from Turkey to Guatemala, which is in Central America. I'm often asked, how does Lutheran World Relief work with immigration? And we don't work here within the United States. The ways that we are involved is that we work in the countries where we serve with the people whose really first choice would be to stay home with their family, with employment. And so we work really hard with our neighbors to make that possible. So I want you to take a look at Rosalvina's family and how their lives have changed.
Este emprendimiento del hongo ostra lo hemos adquirido o digamos nos han apoyado a través de Fundasistema, ¿verdad?
Nos organizamos entre todos los socios y dijimos que íbamos a intentar.
Incluso también no solamente lo pueden utilizar para consumirlo, sino también para poder venderlo.
Ya ganábamos nuestro centavito, ¿verdad? Para sostenernos, ¿verdad? Y ahorita a futuro que tenemos a través de estos emprendimientos ya no migrar. ¿Por qué? Porque generamos la economía, ¿verdad?
Nosotros en esa parte vimos también que los hongos son muy nutritivos también, trayendo a los niños desnutridos, niños con bajo peso.
Con los ingresos que podemos obtener, pues podemos ayudar y sustentar a nuestra familia. Podemos generar ingresos aquí para ya no emigrar.
Emigramos allá para ir a buscar dinero, pero también aquí se puede, ¿verdad? Dedicarnos a nuestra parcelita y generar nuestro propio ingreso. Ahí gracias también a Lutera, ¿verdad? Que también nos ha apoyado bastantemente, ¿verdad? El hongo ostra, ¿verdad? Que nos está generando.
Nosotros pues ya no tengamos que dejar nuestras familias y nuestros hogares. Aspiramos, ¿verdad?, a ser una empresa grande, no solamente vender aquí en el municipio, sino tal vez algún día exportarnos.
Eso es nuestro sueño de nosotras, crecer en grande y así ya tener un bien para nosotras mismas, así como grupo o ya sea individual, tener ingresos para nuestra propia familia también. Eso es nuestro sueño de nosotras.
One of the things that I love about Lutheran World Relief is that we have this a business development team that we work with, and I was just sharing this too. And this isn't necessarily a fundraising team. This is a team. Well, it is, but it's a part of our team that raises money from organizations like USAID and governments. And so, if we go down into Peru, there's this project. Excuse me. A farming project where there are all of these women farming cocaine. Very unsafe for many reasons, but felt like it was their only option. So using some funding from Lutheran individuals and congregations, we were able to teach this co-op of women how to farm coffee and cocoa instead of cocaine. And to turn it into a profitable, healthy business for them. And the model has been so successful that the business development team has been able to write about that experience and get multi-million-dollar grants from places like USAID to really scale that work up. A very similar thing is happening in Ukraine right now. We raised millions of dollars from individuals, and now that is being scaled up. We've been able to say, look, here's what we're able to do, and are then able to get some larger grants to help make that work possible. So we work in a variety of ways. I'm going really fast through this. I want to honor the musicians who will be coming. But I also want to make sure you get to see one of my favorite videos that we've ever made. So I love Tanzania. I'm a bit biased. I've spent a lot of time there in my ministry. And when I was there about a year ago, Dr. Lally, who is our director of programs in Tanzania, said, Lisa, those quilts that your people make in all those congregations are helping to reduce stunting in Tanzania. And I looked at her. Now, stunting is when children and babies don't get enough nourishment in their first 1,000 days of in utero and living to grow, to be healthy adults. And I said, I mean, I think the quilts are great, but I said, Dr. Lally, I don't buy it. Like, how is it that the quilts are helping to reduce stunting? And then she told me about some research they've done. So I want you to take a look at this video, and as you watch this, give thanks to God for those quilters that are in this congregation.
Stunting is a condition caused by chronic malnutrition in early years of child's development, and it's quite actually prevalent in Tanzania. Stunted children are most likely to get sick. They take longer to recover because they have compromised immune system. They have developmental delays, and they have difficulty learning.
When I hear that such a big number of children are stunted, understanding the effects of the long-term effects of stunting, it's really painful because it is also related to inability of children to develop to their potential mentally.
One important study was done by Ifakara Health Institute in 2020, and they looked into drivers of stunting in Jombe region beyond nutritional intake. Jombe is one of the coldest areas in Tanzania. It's a mountainous region, and during the home visits they observed that children often sit on a cold floor and with very little or no clothes on, and concluded that children, instead of using the food intake energy to grow, they're using that energy to keep their body warm. So that was contributing to stunting. When we heard about this study, we immediately thought about Lutheran World Relief quilt program. And we thought how this could help us keep those kids warm in Jombe.
The quilts came to the very appropriate time because it's a cold condition. They have really touched the life in the very appropriate time.
We were able to mobilize support and bring quilts to Tanzania, and we're expecting one more shipment, and we hope to reach close to 9,000 children with this assistance.
Thanks so much for whoever thought of these children and sent the gift.
Thank you to quilters on the other side of the globe for all the great work and dedication, and for bringing words of their hearts to children of Tanzania. It's very important. Thank you so much. Asante sana.
Isn't that amazing? Raise your hands again, quilters. Don't be bashful. Thank you. Thank you. I am going to pause there because I want to make sure I have a chance to answer questions that you might have about anything you saw here, anything about the work we're doing in Ukraine or beyond. Yes, sir. You know, it's different in every area. And it all depends. I believe we're getting close to finalizing a deal with USAID for the work in Ukraine, so that the mobile health clinics can continue to serve beyond the current funding that we have. And so I don't know their role in every country. I do know that we receive a lot of USAID grants to do the work, and so that's a lot of the ways that they're working in different countries. And every country is different. Every government is different. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know of any particularly, I mean, I do know that we have some Presbyterian churches out on the East Coast that partner with us, much like Trinity does. We don't tend to partner with religious communities in other countries because in our role, we partner with local nonprofits and with local governments. And so, whereas organizations like ELCA World Hunger will carry out most of their work through local Lutheran churches or missionaries in regions, our work tends to be with local nonprofits and governments. Yeah. Yep. So Lutheran. So this always gets. My kids tell me I always talk with my hands, and they're not wrong. So ELCA World Hunger and Lutheran Disaster Response are specific ministries of the ELCA. Lutheran World Relief is what we call pan-Lutheran organization. And so we're working in partnership with the ELCA and with local ELCA congregations and with the Missouri Synod and LCMC, pretty much all the Lutheran denominations across the country here in the U.S.
We have to break because we've got a tight schedule with people coming for the next service and musicians getting ready for the next service. But Lisa's got a table in the gym, and maybe if you have one-on-one questions, you could talk to her. So we're so sorry about cutting it off, but we knew it was going to be tight on this one. But thank you so much. Thank you for partnership with us.
Thank you.
And as we said, you go where we can't go, and we appreciate that. So go have coffee, ask questions of Lisa one-on-one. You can even talk in here, but we've got to let our musicians warm up. Thank you all. Yep.